everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to show you how I like to repot my cacti and succulents. Today I'm going to be repotting two cacti that I just bought that definitely need to be repotted. I'm going to show you the soil and the blend of soil that I'm going to be putting them in and exactly how I repot them. So if that sounds like something that will interest you or something that will help you with your own cacti or your own plants, then stick around. Okay, so I've gathered all my supplies. I have my cacti, obviously. These are the two that I will be repotting. They're in really tiny pots right now. As you can see, the roots are definitely growing to the edge of the pot, so it is definitely ready to be repotted. I'll just show you guys this one as well. You can also check under here if the roots start growing through the bottom of the pot, then it's definitely ready. Yep. So the next supply you will need are pots. I got these two pots that are a good size up. You can just kind of place them inside to make sure that they'll have enough room. You can just eyeball it as well. But the one big thing is that they have drainage holes. These ones only have one hole in the bottom, which isn't the best, but it's better than nothing for sure. And because I'm going to be putting succulents in them, I know I will be watching how much water the succulents get because I don't want to overwater them. So the one hole is fine. I'm also going to be mixing a lot of perlite into my soil mixture. The second supply I have is perlite. If you personally prefer to buy a pre-made succulent blend soil, that is perfectly fine and a lot easier way to go. But because I already have this giant bag of perlite that I use often and that I've used for different things, I already have it and I already have some soil that I can mix the perlite in to make a good succulent blend. So instead of going out and buying more succulent soil, I can just make it at home. And I thought I could show you guys as well how you can make your own succulent soil if you don't want to get the special succulent blend. It's really just regular garden soil with a lot more perlite and sometimes even sand mixed into it, but I don't have any sand. But I'm just going to be using perlite today because that is what I have. I also have some peat moss that I will be mixing in as well. So let's get into that. So I just wanted to show you guys the peat moss, and I'm also going to add a little tiny bit of this worm castings as a fertilizer for them. I'm just going to be putting some of this organic peat moss, mixing some of that in there, and then I'm going to be mixing all the soil with the perlite and everything in this bucket. So here I have the peat moss, and then in the middle here, this darker stuff is the worm castings. Also, I wanted to show you guys the other fertilizer that I plan on using with them, and I will be using this when I water them in right after I transplant them, so I'll show you guys when I do that. Just gonna be putting about 3 handfuls in there of perlite to start off with. I'm gonna mix all of this together. Alright, this is the garden soil. It doesn't look like it has much perlite in it at all. I don't think it has any actually. Well, that's okay. So I'm definitely gonna have to add more perlite. I was thinking that this would have some, I guess it does have a little tiny bit of perlite in here, but definitely not as much as I want for the succulents. So I'm definitely going to be mixing in more perlite. And just a little tip for mixing soil, definitely mix it as you go. Every couple scoops, mix it, because when I first started, I would just like pour all the ingredients in and then try to mix it, and it's a lot harder to mix it when everything's in there. It's a lot easier if you mix it as you go. Alright. So that actually looks like a good amount of perlite, so I'm not going to add any more like I thought I would have to. This is how much perlite would be in a normal succulent blend that you would buy. This looks like a good amount of perlite. Okay, it's now time to see if I measured correctly and if I have enough dirt. Some people like to put rocks on the bottom of their pots. That is okay to do. I personally stopped doing that. I used to do it. I stopped doing that because I found that when my plants grow to the bottom, the roots will wrap around the rocks, and when I'm repotting them, it's hard for me to untangle all the roots from the rocks and get the rocks out of the roots. I don't want to break the roots and everything, so I've just stopped doing that. But as long as you have enough drainage and you don't overwater your plants, you don't really need to worry about putting anything on the bottom. So I'm just gonna go straight for the soil. So now that I have a good amount of the soil, I'm just gonna kind of pat it down, tap it down, make sure it's nice and full, because when you water, it's definitely gonna sink down, especially with that peat moss. So I'm just making a little hole for the new baby that will be going in there. Start with this guy. Some people don't like doing this, but I personally do it a little bit. I don't like going crazy with it, and this was what I'm talking about, is the breaking up of the roots. I don't like to go crazy with it, but I do like to just loosen them up a little bit. But you do have to be careful not to damage them. You don't want to damage the roots, especially when you're transplanting, because it's already pretty traumatic for the plant. I'm trying not to get it all over the green part, obviously. That's how they collect their sunlight and their energy. Don't want to cover the plant in dirt, just the roots. Not pressing down super hard. You don't want to have super compact soil, but just a little bit, so I know that I'm having enough soil in there. Alright, I'm just gonna put this one over here while I repot the other one. Oh yeah, I definitely have more than enough soil, so maybe I will repot something else. Shaking it, tapping the side maybe. Make sure it's nice and compact, but not too compact. Alright, taking the little tiny baby pot off. I'm just gonna kind of stick my finger in there. Also, I didn't even talk about the gloves. Yes, gloves are a very good idea. For gardening in general, when you're touching dirt, you don't want dirt under your fingernails and everything. Put them in here real fast. So you definitely do not want to be touching or damaging any part around here. And on this one, like, you don't want to be handling the spikes. Obviously they're sharp, but even with a glove, you don't want to be handling the spikes because you can break them. They're very sensitive. They can also cause an allergic reaction if they touch your skin. They can get itchy. So anywhere around this orange part, even on these sides of this one, there are spikes. Sorry, this one needs a little more soil. But it's very important to wear gloves when you are repotting cacti and succulents in general. Most succulents will have little spikes. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of succulents do have little spikes, and you have to be careful. Once again, I'm just making sure they're nice and full. So I am now done handling the cacti. The next and final step is to just water them in. So I'm going to take my gloves off. And again, gloves are such a vital part of owning and repotting cacti and succulents. So definitely invest in like a $5 pair of gloves. That's all you really need. Very important. And it will protect your cacti as well. Watering cacti or succulents, or really any plant, but especially succulents and cacti, is to go really slow, let the water drain in, and then try to water more, but don't oversaturate it. But definitely the key is to go slow. And honestly, a bucket is not the best idea. A watering can is a lot smarter. I think I actually am going to switch to a watering can because, as you can see, it's overflowing and just, yeah, not working out very well. And I just grabbed a couple other succulents that I have that I can water with this fertilizer water, because I'm definitely not going to be using a full gallon just for these two. I don't recommend getting the water on the actual green part or the leaves of any plant, but because I just repotted these, I'm getting the water on it just so I can get all the soil off the green part and out of the little prickers. So once the water is draining through the bottom of your pot, that is when you can pretty much know that they're watered through well. When you repot anything, it's definitely good to water them in really well after you repot them. And now I don't have to water these for a good bit until they get really dried out. Yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck with repotting your cacti. Remember to wear gloves and to get a good succulent blend and to water it in nice and slowly. Thanks for watching. Bye! This one is definitely ready. Mia, stop. Yeah. This one is definitely Mia. This one is definitely ready to be repotted as well. Mia, wanna go inside? These ones only have one single hole, which isn't optimal. Look at this little tiny pot. So little. Try not to get it off. Oh, sorry guys. I don't recommend watering. What? I'm filming. Sorry, my neighbors are so fucking loud.